On Obamacare enrollments. Enrollment numbers came in at 106,000 between the federal and the state programs. That was about 20% of what the government had been hoping for. Let's talk a little bit more about the effects of Obamacare with Representative Kevin McCarthy, who is the House Majority Whip. Congressman, thank you for being here. We know that these are dismal numbers, but I guess the question becomes, what now?
Well, what now? It continues to see. This is more than just a broken website. Now you find that the promises and pledges are not kept. You can't keep your health care. And then the third wave that's going to hit you come January is the price and the high deductibles. This is a system that just will not work. And that's why you're finding revolt inside the Democratic Party itself, revolting against the president and Obamacare.
I know that there's a plan in the House that's been put up by Republicans and a similar plan put up by the Democrats in the Senate that would try and undo this whole situation where people by the millions are getting their health insurance canceled. But there have been some pretty significant questions about whether, even if these bills are passed, even if it goes to conference, even if something is done, whether you can turn back the clock on this situation. What do you think?
Well, it's very difficult, but there's 1 million people just in my home state of California being denied. The challenge here is you want to make sure people can keep what they have, but more importantly, this system itself will not work. We're just wondering when the president will ever acknowledge that and see the system will not work.
Well, if you try and put those people back, I mean, if you're talking about the 1 million people in your state who have lost coverage, the insurance companies have been following the rules for months, trying to set up the system to do what the government told it to do. You're suddenly going to turn around and give them, 20 days to undo it and put the system back and notify all the people that they've already notified based on the rules that have been laid out?
It's very difficult. It's not a system that will work perfectly, but why can't you at least try to allow people to have it? I mean, listen,
when are you planning on passing the bill then?
We'll pass it tomorrow. Much faster than anything in the Senate, much faster than the president doing any reaction.
But that doesn't do that.
We'll pass it much faster than website goes to work. I'll promise you that.
Well, okay, let's talk about this seriously. Instead of just doing things that are political moves on one side or the other to do this, these are people who are really left out in the cold. What is really going to happen to them? My guess is they're still left in the lurch no matter what.
Excuse me for one moment. How is it political? If the president promised if you had health care, you can keep it. We just have the insurance commissioner in California now saying that there has not been transparency.
You're not talking both sides of the aisle and finding something that's going to happen that really gets these people help.
Well, I think you will find the bill that comes out of the House that is bipartisan. I think you'll find the first bill that comes out will be out of the House, will be bipartisan, will be right over to the Senate. So the question will be, how fast does it get to the president's desk? The sooner it gets to the president's desk, the better opportunity we have to help people.
My question is, how does this play out in theory? And I ask because I know people who have also lost their insurance and who are furious about it. What are they supposed to do in the meantime?
Well, that's the challenge what we see right now. What can you do in the meantime with this system continuing to break? And we're saying that we're trying to do everything we can in the process, that we're going to tell the insurance companies that they have the ability to keep them on. How can these individuals actually even go in and buy it?
If you look at what has actually been done with the insurance companies, they've changed their systems and they've changed their premiums based on what the government had already laid out. You get my sense that this is just a huge mess.
You want to just now say break your promise that the president made.
No, I want to know what you can actually do that is legitimate.
And that's exactly what we're doing on Friday, is passing a bill that's telling the companies that yes, you can keep them on their insurance.
But that's not telling the companies anything, because you passing the bill alone doesn't do it. What do you think ultimately happens a week from now?
That's why we have to. Well, hopefully it's signed by the president, and the president allows it to go through.
The White House has said it's not going to. My question again is, what are both sides doing together? Because, look, I know that this is the Democrats who pushed this through, that there was no Republican support on this, but I know that this is a serious mess, and that unless both sides come together and come up with an answer, it means nothing to the people who have been told that they can't keep their insurance.
Well, I think you ought to spend a little time in the House and listen to the Democrats that are also going to vote for this bill. So you're going to have Democrats and Republicans who vote for a bill to try to find a solution. It's unfortunate that if you have a president that's going to be stubborn and say no, one that created this problem itself. There's only so much that we can do, but we will continue to fight to make sure the pain is not there.
What if the Washington Post is right in that it's not fixed by the end of November? And what if not enough young people, they get disillusioned and they don't sign up for it, and so that the older policies are going to be, are we going to will the government just have to pay for those? I mean, it seems to me that eventually this could just collapse under its own weight. Do you know when that would happen, or if it's possible that would happen?
Well, I personally believe it'll collapse under its own weight, because if you look at the structure of it, well, If you want me to predict, I think you won't see that till after January, because it's coming in different waves. And unfortunately, if you're going to get upset with me, look at what we've been fighting for the last 3 years, and look at what we've been saying will not work. Now it's coming to fruition.
Everybody can say
this is
that,
more
look,
than a
we said
broken
it wasn't going to be
website.
there,
The second thing that you find that happens
to
is
celebrate
now
over
you
a
can't
failure
keep
and
it.
say it's going to collapse
the
under its
third
own weight,
wave
and
is
then
what
we'll
you're
be
going to
happy.
see in the process is now the prices and the high deductibles. That's when you're finding that a system will not work. We're just now getting the transparency that you go through that people have not signed up. Those who've signed up are being subsidized. Most people have not enrolled. Those are just in shopping carts. And then that is money taking from Medicare itself.
I'm not
the
arguing
system
that.
itself
I am not
won't work.
arguing that this is something that has been a successful rollout. I'm not arguing any of that. These are obviously unintended consequences that came up. Some of them probably intended consequences. What I'm arguing is, what does it mean to people who don't have insurance now, who can't get through this, and come January 1st are going to be left in the lurch?
That's why we're sitting here very hopefully to make a fundamental correction that this system will not work. We're just now finding Democrats for the first time who voted 3 weeks ago to deny any changes that we wanted to make in the process. I think you're going to start seeing them saying that they're very willing to actually repeal it.
The unbelievable thing is that we could have more people uninsured January 1st than what the bill was supposedly
even intending.
You're going to have more people now uninsured. This is taking more health care away.
And we're happy with their plan. And none of this even takes into account what happens when companies say, you know what, I can pay a penalty and just get this off of my,
I think the problem is we
my.
can complain about it all the time, but it's exactly what Becky's saying. Unless this is all theater, unless you can actually do something about it, where you can get enough people that
there was
a
a way to design healthcare reform that didn't involve this, and we may need to go back to that eventually. Get rid of.
I think we have to go back to that.
That's what I would hope for, and no one would celebrate its collapse, but if it deserves to collapse,
nobody wants it.
Deserves to collapse.
But why do nobody wants the pain that it's going to cause either? That's why we've been fighting for 3 years not to have it happen.
Well, none of the pain would have happened if it hadn't been passed, would it?
That's true.
But it did.
It wasn't a great system before. What I would like to see is something
Well, the
that
people
both
that had it
sides
thought it was
come
a good
together.
system.
Look, I
think
agree with the
Republicans
system
have
that
some
got
great
crammed through
ideas to
without
solve
any
this problem
Republican
as well.
support.
Right. But at least the people that had it back then would have still had it. Now, the people that didn't have it don't have it, and the people that did have it don't have it.
Great,
The problem is bigger because of Obamacare today. There's more people that are uninsured and losing their